We got Enterprise build log number 3 officially. I'm going to make this quick this evening. I want to show you what I've been up to on the lighting. I was waiting for some of those HD Easy Strip LEDs from Paragraphics to come in. They have twice as many lights per inch as the other ones do. So if you're in a tight space and you only have an inch to spare, these are the ones to use. What I did was make a light cage or light box around this cage that there's a strip there, 2 strips there, and a strip on the other side, and I'll show you what that's for in a second. I may have to excuse the flickering, I'm holding the bare wires to the battery. It's not the most secure thing in the world, but I want to show you what the effect of that is, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of building first, so be back in a second. Okay, now here you have the same cage but with as many parts as I could put around it, and you get this out of it. Now the windows, you can see, are masked over. However, you can see the light bleed around them. Let me fix this. It's a byproduct of how thin the plastic is on these. But what I wanted to show you was what happens when you take this piece, and again, one-handed work is not easy. Those are the perforated holes coming through that piece with the dish in front of it. Gives you that lovely result, and I think that's a whole lot better as far as lit up effect than I got on my first dish, so I'm very happy with that. Ta-da! Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, once I put all this away and I come back, is we're going to apply some more masks to the lower saucer. See you in a minute. Okay, it's time for some more real-time masking. Now again, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but just enough to give you an idea. On the saucer, or indeed on the ship, there are some areas that I want to be the darkest of grays. There is a ring right about here that has a darker two-tone than the rest of it, than the rest of the pattern. And while it's in its primer state, while it's here, the gray that I want to keep, this gray, I need to mask now from further templates down the line. This is the sheet that is marked with a B for the bottom saucer, and I have removed all of the extra around the pie plates. This is how I find it's easiest to work. You remove all of this, and then if you need to pick up a piece and put it somewhere, you've got extra room to put it out there. Plus it just helps you see where you're going. The area that we want out of each pie slice is this bad boy right in here. It is, let me see, it's 1, 2, 3, about 4 sections down, which puts it 1, 2, 3, 4 rings out. And what we need to do is just pick a pie slice, pick a starting point, and start laying it down, remembering that where our ultimate pattern is going to be, we're kind of determining that now. Now I'm going by the pattern that's on the instructions. Get this sheet out, it's easier to deal with. And you can tell it is 1, 2, 3, 4 sections down, or 1, 2, 3 sections in from the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's this one, or 1, 2, 3, 4, it's this one. And I find it best to pick a pattern and start. Now we want to keep the darkest gray. We want to keep that darkest gray. It means we need to cover that darkest gray. So on this particular piece, the darkest gray on this wedge, the darkest gray is the area that surrounds the negative, the area that surrounds the positive feature or the negative. So that's the piece we need to pull off. So we are going to go with this one right here, and we are going to take this one, which is the negative piece. Am I in camera? I want to make sure I'm in camera. This is the negative piece. Do a little bit of this, get it all over your hands. Don't let that adhesive fool you. And then we just, again, it's going to take a little bit longer because I'm doing it on camera as opposed to how I would just normally do it, which is to lay it, line up a corner, tap that corner down, put this corner there, move this up a tiny smidge, so that it get in there nice and good. This top edge here lines up with that. Then that simply lays flat. And this is all the pressure you need to put on it. You don't need to scrub it down. You don't need to now this also completes the pattern for that. And this fills in okay. That one's done. Now what you're left with is this positive piece. Well, the positive piece goes on the same line, but it just goes on the next one. Now you know how you can line it up because you know, and again, I'll stick it down to my arm and I'll pull it back up, and the worst thing that'll happen to me is that I might pull a hair out with it. Other than that, it's no worse than putting an adhesive band-aid on your finger. And let me, I'm sorry, I'm checking this with the camera to make sure that I am visible. And you simply line the stem up so that the stem is at the bottom of wish I had something else to point with. The stem piece is at the bottom of this engraved line. The two arms are spanning both sides of the panel, and you're basically just centered. Let me take a second away from you and I will go ahead and put this down. And you just kind of eyeball it. Now you see where this piece here, it is the mirror counterpart of this piece and this piece. So you know you've got it right when this one here lines up in this negative space that's left with this piece and this piece. Now I'm going to do the next two, and I'm going to move over to another pie wedge, and I'm going to pull it out. Come on, there you go. Jock it around a little bit. Get a little bit of them bodily oils on the finger, or from the finger on the piece. And again, next panel down. Now you know that this corner goes there, and you know you wrap it around that following that hull line to where that corner meets there, and you just pat it down. Now you know that this also has a strip that goes there. It fits in this bottom corner. Voila. Corner, corner. Put that in the corner, follow that curve. Put this in the corner, follow that curve. Next big positive guy. You come up. It's centered. These 2 points are matching. The stem stops at the bottom of the hull. You kind of eyeball that this point here and this point here is equidistant from, you know, it's running a parallel line to this curve. So you play with those a little bit. And there's a quarter of the hull done with that one, or a quarter of the saucer done with that one pattern. So I'm going to stop the camera and finish the rest of this. And we're back. It's been, about 15-20 minutes, maybe a little bit less. And I've got the rest of this ring done. And you can see where I used the parts from the sheet. Took the centers out of these ones. This one I didn't touch because it's extra. There's actually, I left it an additional complete wedge just in case in the process of putting something down you stretch a piece or it jumps off the table and hands into the carpet. There's an extra wedge, and I do this on all my template sets. I always provide an extra wedge just for such emergencies. These two down here are texturizing wedges, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. This is the fun stuff. But you can tell from looking at this that this is ready to go. Now everything that you see covered in black will stay this dark gray because I'm going to be painting lighter and lighter shades of grayish white to an almost white over top of it. But there are some things I want to keep this darkest gray. There are some things I want to keep the next level of gray because I'm going to put a gray over this. It's a slightly different gray. What I'm going to show you now is a bit of a cheat because it's not included in the standard template set. It's an idea I've been monkeying around with, and if I like it, if it works out, I'll add it to the traditional set. But for right now, it's strictly an indulgence of mine, and it does not follow any of the templates that are provided, so take that with a grain of salt. One of the things I found while building the first set, and I keep referring to the first one I built because it was a test bed for a lot of things. But one thing it was a test bed for was decals, which I've already gone on about the fact that I did not like them. But it had decals for the sensor bands that run around the saucer. They were all straight for some ungodly reason. I don't know how the Germans expect you to put a straight line around a curved shape. I had to end up cutting it and segmenting it to get it to go around a curve, which was a pain. And I found that even after I did that, they were not quite wide enough. So I thought I would cut some in vinyl and see how that worked. Now the ones that I have cut here are a little bit wider, and they're meant to replicate the sensor bands that would stay this darkest gray color. And we're just going to see how they work. Now they follow in, and I'm going to put these on real time so you see what I'm doing. I gotta get down. Let me raise the camera up a second. Hold on. There you go. Now we'll try it. The bottom one goes along this groove. There's one that goes in between the sets of windows and one that goes above the sets of windows. So let's just try these and see how they look. This is being done for the first time live on your camera. And then the idea is that I will paint over these with the lighter grays and whites, leaving these dark gray stripes on the saucer so that you don't have to use their less than stellar decals. Now let me edge that. Okay, that's not so bad. And as you can tell by looking at the sheet, I cut them in an arc, so they're not. I'm not trying to push a straight line down a curved surface. Now these also, to match the right circumferences, there is a gap in the center of them, or else they don't all have the same exact arc. They are a little bit larger than, one's larger than the next. And what I'm going to do here is, again, this is tough to do on camera, is put them in place and then trim them off after I put the impulse deck in, because they did have a weird little angle to them. Okay, and I am trying to stick these down, and I'm going to do the first set again on camera like this, and then do the rest off camera and show you the results, strictly because when I'm thinking about where the camera is, I am not paying attention to what I should be doing. But you'll notice I am not using a ton of pressure on these. You see going through the banks of windows above. This splits down the center. And it's kind of good that the beginnings of these are staggered off of each other. This one ends here, this one ends here, because you don't want them necessarily falling on the same line. It'll make it less obvious if they are staggered. That's not so bad. It's a little bit wavy there, but honestly, and again, take your time and do this, but my decals came out a bit wavy too, so see if I could work this down a little bit straighter. And did you notice when I pulled that back up that no paint came up with it? And I wasn't being the least bit gentle with that. It's just that I don't use a ton of pressure when I put them down. If you feel you need to use a squeegee to run anything down, you're putting too much pressure on, my friends. Okay, there's the last second one. One more down. Okay, and you can see there's the 3 lines. Yeah. And again, like I say, if these turn out okay once they're painted, if these give me the results I'm looking for, I will go ahead and add these, and I will make them available as a separate piece for anybody who's already got the part but needs these extra lines. It may be, you know, a couple, $3. I don't know how much it'll be, but no sense having to buy it all again just to get these. And I may end up having to, depending on how much vinyl they take up, it may end up bumping up the cost of the set. Like I say, a couple of bucks, I don't know. Oh, look at that. That's going on sweet. Yeah. See? And that went on like nothing, like nobody's business. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, well, I'm going to turn the camera off and finish these up. Okay, I'm down to the last one. I do these in 4 quadrants, but I am down to the just that much left to go, and it's not quite taking all 4 pieces, so there will be some trimming that needs to get done. Let me put on this last section. Side ring, and I'm just overlapping this last one a tiny bit. See, the bottom ring has this nice ridge that you butt up against. And the top one, the top ring, this goes against this top edge. It's only the center one that is really tricky as far as placement. Now see, I'm just letting that hang over length. And when this goes back in place, this actually, if I have a pencil here, well, do it with the blade. This actually goes like that to trim off those lines. I'm just going to cut this one just to get it out of the way. And this is the outside ring or the uppermost ring, and it simply goes along the top edge of the plastic. It stays along that edge. And just cut that one off. And the center ring, again, just handling it a little bit, get some of the stickiness knocked off of it. Overlap that a skosh. Now there is a raised ring there that I am sticking to, plus I am eyeballing the distance between the 2 rings to try and kind of center it until I get to a bank of windows where I know it has to go in the center of that bank of windows. And it just goes like a wire. Come on, and just chop it off with a, there. Now that's a sweet little bit of lineage there. And these, what's underneath, the areas that are underneath the vinyl, will always stay this darkest gray when I start painting over it. Building note here for anyone interested. I'm going to paint as much of the lower saucer and top saucer as I can before lighting, before construction, because fiber optics need to poke up through there, and it'll be very tough to put masks down over the poked up through fiber optics. So I'm going to paint as much of this as possible before I have to cut the fiber optics. Plus, I noticed, and it's been commented on before, that is such a clean joint there. There's no puttying or anything needed there, that this can be joined, these two pieces can be joined way late in construction, and minimal touch-up will be needed, if any. If you do it right, you're not going to have to do hardly anything to this joint once you've got everything else around it done. So that's the building logic on it.